I'd like to talk about the workshops I have and that I go and do on a regular basis, on a monthly basis, usually sometimes more than that. But I have a Teen Consent 101 class for teenagers between the ages of 13 and 17. And it's a basic consent class for them to learn what their boundaries are, what their rights are, how to protect their body and their mind and their emotions, how to understand who they are before anyone else tells them who to be, how to deal with pressure, toxic people, and confusing situations, whether they be online or in real life. Now, I know a lot of people think that it's odd that a dominatrix be uh, going over these types of things, but I mean, ironically and ideally, all I deal with on the bodyguard side of things and on the domination side of things is handling consent and handling people who don't give consent, who are violent and need to be subdued or de escalated or however controlled or at least safely survived. So I have this experience that I pull from a lot of different entertainment industries and very high toxicity types of industries that kind of eat people up inside. And I have had to watch people unravel and protect them in different ways and coach them and consult them and save them a lot of times from themselves and guide them to make better choices and decisions, but hold them accountable in some way, shape, or form. And all I've dealt with are, hurt individuals who began as hurt children. And it's all irreversible once a child's innocence is taken. And so it's been a big theme in my life to try and save as many adults as I can, but also children, because as a mother, I believe that that's the most important thing that we have to live for, because they are our future. And so I wanted to offer these workshops for teenagers so that there's a space that can define this taboo stuff that we're all tempted with, whether it be porn or being coerced online or just enforcing your body's boundaries, dating, or I don't know. There's so many different things that the kids have to deal with nowadays, and the violence and the cell phone usage, and all of these things that affect our children need to be handled in a different way to prepare them for adulthood. And so a lot of the things that we talk about in the class, we try to build their confidence to make better decisions that protect their safety and their identity and their future. And what we go over basically is consent and boundaries, what consent means in friendship, dating, family, and school, how to say no without apologizing, what to do if someone ignores your boundaries, how to handle that, how to respect other people's boundaries. I think there's a lot of that kids just don't think is really necessary because they're just playing around, and that can get in sticky situations. And so we definitely go over a lot of that. We go over their rights as a teen, as a minor. They don't really have very many because their parents and their guardians are liable, but they don't understand what that means. So what I do is I explain what they legally can say no to, what is not allowed, as a minor, what is coercion, what adults and other teens are not allowed to do and say and act, bad behavior, good behavior, what's illegal, what isn't, what to do if someone crosses a line, why, these teenager ages are so crucial for early drug use, early sexualization, early objectification, all of these issues, what happens to them, what can happen to them if they decide to partake in these and it get out of hand, which a lot of times it does, and it can. We go over body and anatomy and their identity. I do focus a lot on the children's identity before their sexual preference or any of that really is decided, because their body belongs to them, not social media, not their friends, and not anyone else. The difference between attention and respect. And then balancing that masculine and feminine energy, no matter what their gender is, because essentially we as adults struggle to do that. And in those securities, we take it out on these kids, and that's not fair to them. So I focus on their identity first and how important it is that their body and mind be the focus of being whole first before they allow themselves to experience intimacy in any level. And preparing for them properly for that is essential to them becoming, adults, functioning adults. How to safely explore their identity without being pressured or rushed by anyone is definitely something that we go over. Handling pressure and manipulation and emotional safety. What manipulation looks like, even from people you love, what grooming is and how to spot it early on, how to handle sexting and flirty DMs and sexual pressure from people, how to exit scary or unsafe situations quickly, because a lot of people, handle that fight or flight and, fawn, and we have all these different responses that are triggered when we panic, and I talk the kids through how to handle those scenarios, whether they be with adults or peers their own age. We go over social media and reputation safety, why certain posts and pics and messages can be dangerous, any type of sexualization of themselves or any objectification, that they don't understand that predators target them, and that's how they can pressure you online. What sextortion is and how to protect yourself, how to take back control of your digital life with their own phones. We go over blocking and how fluid it should be to report that and block someone, and how to do that easily, without giving that person any more of your energy. We go over dating, age gaps, and those legal boundaries, what's legal and illegal when it comes to dating and sex, why age gaps can be dangerous even if it feels okay. Essentially, even if they give consent, it's not enough to make something legal if you're a minor. And so we go over what to do, and if an adult, what to do if an adult makes you uncomfortable, how to protect yourself and your friends from unsafe or illegal relationships. We go over spiritual self-worth and gender identity safety, what it means to be grounded in your identity, knowing the difference between self-discovery and people-pleasing, how to protect your energy around harmful people and influences, choosing the right friends and avoiding the ones who steer you in those bad directions, how gender pressure, party culture, and online popularity games affect these kids' mental health, and how to prepare them. And I offer a lot of solutions to these problems and ways to maintain your sanity when you're dealing with a lot of these triggers. We go over group violence and fights and all those flash events that we've seen on the news lately. pressure online to meet up and cause havoc, and the repercussions and the choices that pretty much they're presented with. And if you decide to be ignorant in allowing these kids to do what they want with their time, is definitely something that we go over: who's liable for what and what their behavior actually, will do. We go over mental health, overwhelm, and shutdown. Why teens feel so angry, numb, or done right now. How trauma, stress, and family dysfunction affect their body and their brain. Healthy ways to regulate and heal without hurting themselves or others. I like to go over all the healthy outlets we have. Because I'm a dominatrix, I'm well versed on the non-hormonal and the healthy balance that a lot of these hormones we can stimulate ourselves, and all these dopamine rushes and these natural oxytocin rushes that we have access to within our own bodies. And we talk about exercise and how to trigger what and what does what based on what you're feeling and what you're triggered by. Do you need rest? What kind of rest? Do you need an outlet? What kind of outlet are you needing? Do you need to talk? Do you need comfort? Do you need support? And figuring out how these kids respond to their own triggers is so vital to their safety and how they regulate their emotions. And so we go over a lot of that, and I give them solutions to these problems, things that they can practice, that you as a parent can practice. And you can do it as often as you need to. I also go over a lot of who you can go to help, or who you can go to for help, who to talk to when something doesn't feel right, how to report abuse, bullying, harassment, online threats, coercion, you send the wrong picture, anything that these kids can get into that I guarantee you they already have gotten into. We go over it. And then what to do if your friends are in a crisis or talking about suicide, self-harm, what to say, how to ask for help, how to protect someone else without putting yourself at risk. I kind of go through any and every scenario that I can think of that these kids are, that I know of, being touched by on a regular basis through their phones and the access that the world has on them right now. Now, these classes and workshops that I'm offering are vital to our society right now, because I'm trying to diffuse a lot of missed information, a lot of information that people don't want to admit exists, a lot of truths that we need to be discussing openly. And I'm pulling from a lot of uncomfortable experience in the adult film world, in domination, and in armed bodyguard work and security work, and all this odd background that I have that gives me the well-rounded perspective of knowing how to deal with most of this stuff and what happens when you don't, and what porn addiction and a lot of these self-sabotaging type of behaviors can do to our children, and how we need to be very upfront and honest about controlling things, because we are liable as their parents right now for their behavior. And it is so crucial to be open right now with my experience and how helpful I can be in getting people ahead of this, or as prepared as I humanly can, so that we can protect our children's innocence as best we can. And if anything, control their own boundaries for their safety, and they can feel like they can explore it at their own pace, which is what every human deserves. So that's my rundown for my Teen Consent 101 class. And if anyone is interested, please contact me through Ms. Haze at mshaze.com, or you can email me at mshaze@mshaze.com. And I would love to hear from you or schedule one of these for you or someone you know that could benefit from it. Thank you.